With Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. National Security Advisor and Ambassador to the United Nations as well. Mr. Ambassador, it's great to have you. So if we really want to hurt Putin, we target the energy sector. That's what more people are saying. Are we willing to make that sacrifice, and is it easier said than done?
Well, it doesn't look like it so far, and it doesn't look like the Europeans are willing to make the sacrifice either. You know, these were threats and realities that should have been made clear to Putin before he invaded Ukraine to up the cost to him. But I'm afraid our policy, I think the administration's policy and the Europeans' policy is we care about Ukraine, but not if it gets to be inconvenient. Look, the Russians are making money off this war now. As you rightly point out, the price of oil is at an all-time high. It's true that some people are steering away from Russian oil now because they're worried about sanctions. This should have happened long ago. I think we need to put a stake through the heart of the Russian oil market. If it causes us some pain here, think about the people in Ukraine when you fill your tank.
Yeah, it would cause a lot of pain, though, here, wouldn't it, Mr. Ambassador? And I say that 650,000 barrels a day we get from Russia. Can we make up for it? And to your point, people say they want to support Ukraine. This is a way to do it, but it wouldn't be easy.
Well, look, I think, again, we're at a very late point because of the failures of the administration. If they had said when they took office, we are going to allow the Keystone pipeline, we're going to cut off the Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia to Germany, we're going to encourage the American production of oil and gas, we wouldn't have nearly the pain. But, you know, just within the past day or two, John Kerry, the special envoy for climate change, told us that, you know, this war is really releasing a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. And he certainly hopes we can still talk to President Putin about climate change. I mean, this is a misperception of what the threat of Russia's invasion really is. But it's thinking, I have to say, to be fair to John Kerry, it's thinking that pervades the Biden administration. So when the president says all options are on the table, this option should have been taken off the table about 3 months ago, and it should have been put right in front of the Russians then.
Interesting. All right, so the U.S. today, Mr. Ambassador, canceled a nuclear test so as not to ramp up tensions. I know you've heard from Ukraine they want a no-fly zone. We know where that could lead, and it was a point Sergei Lavrov made, saying that if there is a World War III, which might be touched off with a no-fly zone, it would be nuclear and destructive.
Well, this is classic threatening by the Russians, by an authoritarian society. You know, if they can get what they want simply by threatening it, we might as well just pack up and go home. So what they're saying is we're going to do what we want in Ukraine, and you people are not going to do anything to stop us. One thing to consider would be a no-fly zone over western Ukraine, at least to start with. Right now, the UN estimates there's something like 800,000 refugees have left Ukraine for bordering countries, and they predict this could go as high as 5 million. Total population of Ukraine is around 41, 42 million. You're talking more than 10% of the population leaving. This is going to cause incredible instability, not just in Ukraine, but all over Eastern Europe. We're just going to sit there and watch that happen? That's the question people have to ask. This is not some abstraction. This is affecting the lives of the people in Ukraine, and it's affecting stability in Europe. We have believed since World War II that peace and security in Europe is in the vital national interest of the United States. And if we still believe that, a Russian invasion of Ukraine, even though not a NATO member, directly affects us.
Let me get you on one more thing, Ambassador, and that is the deal the Ukrainians made in '94 to give up their nukes. They're talking about it now in exchange for security from these kinds of attacks. Russia, the U.S., the Brits, China, France all signed off on this. They're not getting that protection now, and they're not happy about it. Why are they not?
Well, I think they shouldn't be happy about it. They're perfectly justified. So those who want to rely on international treaties, you know, there's a phrase a lot of these people use, the rules-based international order. Somebody didn't give that memo to Vladimir Putin. Can you imagine? They didn't give it to Xi Jinping either. This is the reality that we've tried to ignore for a long time. Putin has put it right in our face that he's going to use force. Others are prepared to do the same. These are people who don't understand the niceties of diplomacy and the rules-based international order. They understand force, and they will get their way unless we are prepared to deter them from using it. We failed in Ukraine. I think we ought to acknowledge that. The failure was stopping Putin before he crossed the Ukrainian border. And we're failing every day this war continues, and we ought to think about that, too.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to think about for sure. Ambassador John Bolton, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.